Hello, listeners. Thank you for checking out today's episode of Our Yard Podcast. This is episode 18, whether you like it or not. It can finally smoke cigarettes 5 years ago. And today we're going to be doing something a little different. Thanks to viewer request from Nick Opalewski. We apologize if I butchered your name. He wanted us to review the 1992 Royal Rumble. So, with no further ado, let's get into it.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah.
So, a lot of people refer to this as being the best Royal Rumble of all time, and after watching it, I can see why. I can definitely see why. It was a damn good match. The match itself was amazing. The rest of the pay per view, we're about to let you know. So it starts off with a dark match between Chris Walker and the Brooklyn Brawler, and there's no footage of this match. Well, I've tried to look for it. You can find different matches that involved both of them, but it wasn't from this particular night. I went ahead and watched a couple of them, and they had good chemistry. The Brooklyn Brawler is probably one of the best like jobbers of all time, in my opinion.
Oh, probably the best. Like that was he was
Probably
known
like as
for.
far as being a technical worker, he might be the best. Like, well, I mean, he's a brawler anyway. I mean, he's got that vibe to him. Very good brawler, very good jobber, very good at making somebody look like $1 million. But I'm not going to keep going on to this just because there really isn't much like footage to be found of it. But the actual first match that was televised, holy shit! I'm gonna let Harley take this one away.
Mm. This is okay, without a doubt, match of the night. Like we're just talking about.
Outside of the Rumble,
Yeah, we're not talking about Rumble, just the matches. Holy fuck, man! This was like, and I don't know the legit. Like I don't know. I don't know the like if there's a backstory. Like if this was their like coming out party with Owen Hart, but holy fuck. Like I mean we all know the Harts like they're all phenomenal wrestlers like you
oh
know
yeah.
every one of
Even the
them.
one that was like excommunicated from WWE, Teddy Hart, like he would have been like one of the best high flyers of all time, but he's
Oh
just
yeah,
got so many issues. Like,
and like man, but Owen Hart stole the show,
mm-hmm.
and which I mean like Jim the Amble, hell he made a damn. I mean he made a great showing too. Being a powerhouse and like doing double slams and like dude was he was rolling, but it wasn't nothing like it wasn't nothing like Owen was doing, man. This dude, he was making a name for himself for sure. And like
Mm-hmm.
the Orient Express, man, like they defeated them, but like man, those dudes were rolling, man. Like Orient Express, like I never watched them. Obviously, like me and Trevor were born in '96, so like you know, obviously we know a lot about the history and like certain matches and certain pay per views and stuff like that. We might not all like know like the minute details in a match, like in a show or in a pay per view or anything like that. But like like coming around to it, it's like we just man, like the Orient Express, I didn't know about them like until then. I was like, holy hell, dude! Like those guys were putting in some work. Like
Absolutely.
they were rolling, man. Like I don't know, man. They just like all four of them just had great chemistry in the ring, and like the spot that really stood out to me was when Owen Hart was like doing some arm drags and suplexes and stuff. Like he did an arm drag and flipped, and he went up like he jumped. Like he just flat footed jumped on the top rope. Or no, he was my bad. He was walking like how Taker used to do the old school. He was
Mm-hmm.
walking on the top rope in the middle of it, not even by a turnbuckle, just walking in the middle of some bitch and still holding on to the guy. and he just jumps, lands on his butt, and does a moonsault into a damn. I just thought
So it's
wasn't it was
arm
suplex.
drag.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. He went into a full arm drag. Yeah, because they were wrist
Yeah,
locked, and then he went to a full arm. My bad. I almost
you're
said
good.
it like I was thinking suplex, but because they like when he did it, like obviously they hit each other, like rolled over and stuff like that. But it was like a near fall. But like, dude, that spot right there, just like it floored me. I was like, holy hell! Like Owen was about that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's definitely a match. Like, dude, I could go back to that match and just watch it anytime. Truthfully,
Oh yeah.
I
No,
mean,
for sure.
what a it was just great work all the way around.
Oh yeah, Mr. Fuji doing just top of the line fucking heel manager work. Just there was not a weak performer in that match at all.
Oh no, no, not at all, not at all.
Hell of a way to start off the pay per view.
Oh yeah,
And
I mean, honestly, I don't even know what damn. Like just off the top of my head, I'm trying to think of like matches, that have started off pay per views and just really stole the show. Like, which I mean, I guess maybe this WrestleMania 40 night too, when Drew and Seth had their match, and then Damian came down there. After
yeah,
like that was pretty dope. I'm not like, but WrestleMania 40.
I would say that. I mean, as far as like talked about, I mean, I don't know, dude. That fucking Rhea Ripley Liv Morgan match at SummerSlam.
Oh yeah, that was pretty dope too.
Hell of a way to
Um,
start off a pay per view there, but like just off of straight wrestling, no, this is one of the best openers I've ever seen.
oh yeah, like I mean, it just stood out to me as soon as I turned it on. Like you get it don't even take that long, honestly. Like about 45 seconds in the match, and you're hooked. Like
Oh
if
yeah,
you
that's all it
if you
takes.
just like if you just love wrestling, it's like, oh, this is it, brother. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, like 2 thumbs up, A++. Everything's wonderful. Like
10 of 10
honestly,
match, easy.
honestly, hell, just off that match alone, I'm like very excited, like thankful that Nick. I'm gonna say Nick O because I don't want to, I don't want to butcher your last name or like anything like that. So I just say Nick O. Like I am very thankful that you recommended us to watch this pay per view because like just for that match alone, I mean like it was stellar. Like it completely, I don't know, it just locked me in for the rest, like for the whole thing, for the rest of the event. So
Mm-hmm.
shout out.
Oh yeah. And speaking of phenomenal matches, right after that match, it went into the Intercontinental title match with the Mountie defending against Roddy Piper after the Mountie won the IC title off of Bret Hart not too shortly before this. And this was a much quicker match than the New Foundation versus the Orient Express, but I mean, short and sweet, like as a fault. Because like the early '90s was known for one of two things in the WWE. One, Hulk Hogan was just whipping his dick out as far as like like in the back politics, and he was just winning every belt he could at that point, even though he had no business doing it. And two, the gimmicks were ass. But don't let the gimmick of the Mountie fool you. The dude was a great wrestler. He really was. I say that like he's not still alive, I think. But anyway, Roddy Piper, one of the best, if not the best wrestler of all time to never win a heavyweight championship, absolutely went in there and just started whipping this dude's ass. And Jimmy Hart, speaking of heel managers, he's probably one of the three best heel managers of all time.
Oh yeah.
In my opinion, the best three heel managers are him, Heyman, and Cornette. And really, you can just put them in whatever order you want to. But as far as being just a despicable, annoying, just gnat in your ear kind of heel, he's one of the best, if not the best, to do it. Roddy, absolutely phenomenal wrestler in his own right. Winds up throwing the Mountie into Jimmy Hart, and the Mountie kind of rebounds off of that and winds up putting the Mountie into a sleeper hold, and that's pretty much the end of the match. I would say the thing that stood out to me the most is In the early 90s as well, the brawling style looked a bit more real than it does today. And I'm not like, I'm not trying to disrespect like, people of today, but as far as like the way they threw their punches, it looked a lot more realistic than a lot of the people throwing punches today. So I mean, Roddy was really, really good at making it look like he was actually beating your ass.
Oh yeah.
And this match is one of a really, really good, quick example of just how violent the dude looks in the ring. I mean, they didn't call him Roddy Piper for nothing. Um, Phenomenal match. I still feel like the crowd was still kind of coming off of the afterglow of that first tag match, and I mean the crowd was there all night. They really were. Like they did not let up one bit. But I would say, as far as just technical work, this was probably the second best match of the night, even though it was so quick.
Oh yeah.
Um, I would still, like if New Foundation Orient Express is like 10-10 top of the line outside of the Rumble, and we will get into that later. But Roddy and Mountie, I give it a 9 out of 10.
Oh
Even
yeah.
though it's like a 5 minute match, it was still wonderful.
Oh yeah. It's like, yeah, it's a great match. Like it just
But
it
Roddy
holds up.
Roddy was special. He was special. Like it's a
Yep.
damn shame we lost him as young as he was. But anyway, just in case you thought this whole pay per view was excellent, we're going into easily the worst match of the night, and I'm gonna let Harley take that away.
Mm, brother, they could have just kept this off the pay per view. I'm not gonna lie to you. And like
They
they
really should have.
the 14 minutes and 57 seconds, they could have split it up and gave Rowdy Piper and Mountie. They could have gave them 7.5 more minutes, and they could have gave the next match after this, the Natural Disasters and Legion of Doom. They could have gave them another 7 minutes. So I mean, brother,
Gave him a non count out finish would have been. That's really my only complaint with it. But really, I mean, it was a good match anyway. But sticking on this one,
yeah, like this, this was just horrendous. And like they had a backstage segment, both of them coming out, and brother, I don't. I honestly, I don't know. I was watching it last night, and I told Trevor, I was just like, "How in the fuck were the Bushwhackers over?" That was some of the dumbest shit I've ever seen. Like, just cringy as hell. In the damn. Oh, and then
the licking the child as they came down to the ring is really what did it for
multiple,
me. That shit made me sick to my stomach, dude.
multiple children. Oh,
Multiple children, multiple
God
people.
damn,
The ref, I think, at one point, both bushwhackers were licking each other like fucking dogs. That
motherfucking
stupid fucking
hell.
manager, Jameson, like, dude, it was
Oh,
just,
that
oh,
shit. That
mm,
pissed me off.
God, it
Like,
was
I don't know why that
really,
son of a bitch was there.
dude, no, for no reason. I mean, here's the thing, dude. Like, I understand not everybody in the business is going to make it big, but if you were so irrelevant to the business that you don't even have a Wikipedia article, get out of here.
Then you had, but the Beverly brothers, Bo and Blake, with the genius who was Macho Man's brother.
Yep. Lanny Poffo, leaping Lanny Poffo.
Yep. Like, I mean, honestly, like the Beverly brothers weren't. I don't know. Like they weren't just horrible, but like, brother, the Bushwhackers just sucked. And, like they drained everything out of that match. Like it was,
Yeah, I was.
it was
Yeah,
bad.
my bad, sir.
No, I'm just. Oh, brother, I'm just. I don't know. It's just tough to watch. And it went on for 15. I don't know why it went on that long. And I don't know why it had to. Like you had them other matches that went shorter. Like you could have gave them time, dude. This match did not need to. And I know the whole storyline was like it was. I'm pretty sure they said that it was to see who was going to win. Like whoever won was going to qualify to face the tag team champions. Like on the next Raw. Well, no, Raw wasn't out then. Like the next show or next pay per view or whatever it was, but
Yeah.
Hell, maybe a house show. But regardless, dude, it was. I don't know. I just,
It was bad.
brother, it's tough. Like if like if you think like Roman Reigns getting dog food spilt on him was tough to watch, like watch that. Just watch that, please.
Please
Like
just watch this match. Just
or John Cena burying the Nexus. Like you think that's rough. No, watch that. Just watch that, please. That's not like I don't know.
dude,
Like I don't really have any good thing. Like the best thing I could say was, you know, the genius, you know, Macho Man's brother. He was good, like outside the ring and stuff. And the Beverly Brothers were pretty decent in the ring. But just to think, like, you almost like, yeah, it couldn't have been that bad, like in ring. No, the Bushwhackers were equally, if not worse, in the ring ability as they were walking down licking children. Like it was that fucking bad. Like I don't know, like brother, like that's that honestly, and it's like it's so bad because like it's the only part of that whole pay per view that sucked.
yeah. And it
Truthfully, like
really sucked. Why?
yeah, like that's some of that '90s wrestling, like that old stuff. That's like like Trevor was talking about, like the gimmicks and stuff, which obviously Bush White awful gimmick. I already went over that. Just I'm trying to get away from that, but like you know,
Yeah.
like that's just a good example of like bad gimmicks, bad just everything. Like part of the bad wrestling. Like maybe it was cool for some people back in the day. I don't know. I don't get it. I mean, maybe it's because you know I'm just a goddamn young head. I don't know shit about fuck, but like from
Mm-mm.
my viewing experience, it it sucks shit out of a toilet, and it's a thumbs down. It's three thumbs down, brother. Oh,
Yeah. Three
but
thumbs down.
the next match saved it. Like, kind of picked everything back up,
Yeah. I would
and
agree. The Natural Disasters versus the Legion of Doom for the WWF Tag Team Championship. I would say, I mean, given that there was only like four matches before the Rumble, I would say this was probably in third place. It wasn't bad though. Don't get me wrong. It's just like, I mean, literally, you could have had Michael Vick go out there and fight dogs for the fifth match, and it would have been better than the fucking Bushwhackers. Like, I like one more little thing I want to add to that is the Bushwhackers suck so much that they made the Beverly Brothers look like shit,
yep.
and that's the last thing I'm going to say on that. But no, Earthquake and Typhoon, of course, the legendary John Tenta, may he rest in peace. Um, doing the Lord's work as a overpowerful heel, and of course, him and Typhoon is, I mean, they're one of the better, destructive forces in the tag team division, historically speaking. But the most destructive tag team was lined up right across the ring from them in the Legion of Doom, Hawk and Animal, and very, very like even though it was only 9.5 minutes long, just like 6 seconds shy, still a phenomenal match. I mean, given what happened in the match, Natural Disasters did wind up winning the match off of countouts, so technically the Legion of Doom retained, considering the only way you can actually have a title change is through either submission or pinfall. And of course, this is the second match of the night that Jimmy Hart was managing for, because Jimmy Hart managed the Mountie earlier, and he managed the Natural Disasters in this match. But the Legion of Doom, Hawk and Animal. Um, Hawk is, in my opinion, like, well, not even my opinion, he just is. He's like the powerhouse in the Legion of Doom, and the Animal. I mean, they're both strong as fucking oxes, but Animal was definitely the high flyer of the two, and I mean, you can tell in this match, you got Animal coming off the top rope, giving clotheslines and stuff like that. You got Hawk doing his thing. Tried picking up Earthquake at one point, and he did pick him up kind of like in a last call position, and then he just falls back, and Earthquake falls on top of him. And eventually, the fight goes out to the ring. I think Typhoon winds up going into the ring to break up the count for his team, and they wind up winning the match like that. But they don't win the championship. Um, Nothing super special about this match stood out to me, except for the fact that Jimmy Hart is one of the best managers of all time, and Legion of Doom is probably one of the best tag teams of all time. And of course, the Natural Disasters, they're absolutely no slouches in any capacity. But no, it was a really good match. I'd give it a thumb and a half up. Thumb and a half up. I can't complain about it. Um, but now we're gonna get into the nitty gritty. Arguably the best Royal Rumble match of all time for the vacant WWF Championship at the time. Starts off with the British Bulldog and Ted DiBiase going into the ring first. And I think between the Rumble, with me and I think me and you could probably just go back and forth with our thoughts on it. You want to do that?
Yeah, we can do that.
We're not going to go over like every single person that went into the match because there was a couple people that you don't really have to talk about, like Jerry Sags, who was only in the match for 1 minute and 6 seconds, or Hercules, who was only in there for 56 seconds.
Yeah. There was, I don't know, like, you know, I'll say this. Like, it was, like you said, it was, one of the greatest Rumbles of all time, if not the greatest. And it was just, it really, man, like the whole thing about a Rumble is just watching it and see who comes out next, generate a pop and have as much action with a little bit of, wasted steps and time in there. And like, dude, it just like it did everything it needed to do. Everything was perfect. And honestly, I'm just gonna say that like the person that stood out to me and that completely like the guy that to me that completely stood out was like, besides like you're all Ric Flair winning and stuff like that, but like, dude, Tito Santana, holy shit. That dude like Tito Santana was going, man. Like that dude was working his ass off.
Mm-hmm.
Like the rent was due, brother. He was moving. Like I mean, truthfully, like that's the dude. Like he captivated me the most. I was just watching him. I was like, holy shit! Like that dude was a worker, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know that was the dude. Like he just did it for me. Like honestly, like you know, like Haku getting eliminated in like under 2 minutes was kind of surprising. I
Yeah.
get like maybe if you watch the storyline, back in the day, I don't know, like, but just knowing him like as like how I have watched him and just what everybody, I don't know, I just figured like the powerhouse, he would have been a little bit, had a little bit more to offer as far as like inflicting damage on people, but I mean it was like he was good. It was just under 2 minutes was I thought was felt like it should have been longer, but it is
Yeah.
what it is. But but also the spot with like Tito and like Shawn Michaels eliminating each other at the same time was that was great,
Fucking
man.
chef's kiss, dude.
Like, yeah, that dude rock.
Yeah.
Like those two dudes. Like, of course, Shawn Michaels one of the goats. You know, Tito was just like I said, he was on fire that night, and like him and Sean spot was just, like it to me. It kind of stole the show, in my
Yeah.
personal opinion.
No, I
But they
agree.
was, Ooh,
Ooh, ooh.
but you had the, the Texas tornado. You had old,
Kerry Von Erich.
yep,
You talk about somebody that never really got his just due when he was in the Fed.
yeah. He only won what, one intercontinental.
Fuck,
Yeah,
if that.
yeah,
He won, yeah, he was a one-time Intercontinental Champion, and he made the Hall of Fame in 2009.
yep.
But you know,
But like I
he,
mean, like even the 9 minutes he was in there, or close to 9.5 minutes, he was making a good showing. Which Ric Flair ended up eliminating what kind of tied together like the long history, the Von Erichs and Ric Flair have had. It kind of made some sense,
oh
to do
yeah,
that. And like Roddy Piper coming in there, like coming off that great match he put on early that night, winning the IC belt, and then it's like he comes in there and starts facing him, like starts just brother. He was wide open, like just wired to the gills the whole damn match. Like dude he was locked in, man. Like Roddy Piper was, he might have stole the show, like just for the whole pay per view, honestly. Like,
oh yeah. I mean, like I really feel like 1992 Royal Rumble. I feel like Roddy Piper is the MVP
oh
of
yeah,
this particular. I mean, the only thing that would have changed that is if Owen Hart would have been in the Rumble, but
yeah,
that's a little too much to ask for. And there's obviously a really really big omission on this entire card is Bret Hart,
yep.
and it makes you kind of think. It kind of makes me wonder. It's like, do you think Bret took it personally that like arguably the best pay per view up until this point was like it didn't even have him on it?
Oh
But
yeah, I'm sure he did.
yeah, he probably took it personally. I mean, Owen definitely stole the show as far as the singles matches go, but we got to
Yep.
talk about Ric Flair, dude, because Ric Flair busted his ass in this match, dude. He was the first person to ever be in the Rumble for over an hour, and by the end of the match, it's like, yeah, he looked tired, but it did not look. He don't look like I just wrestled for an hour straight tired.
No.
It like the I think that's one thing that kind of opened my eyes on Ric Flair is like just how much stamina this dude had is like it's inhuman because like about a half an hour into him being in the match itself, it looked like he just got in the ring.
Yeah.
Wild.
Like, dude, Ric Flair was, obviously everybody knows him. He was
Mhm.
like the first, like, he was like the first mainstream wrestler, like, wrestler that, like, everybody knew. Like, everybody knew who Ric Flair was.
Yeah.
Like, dude was just, like, everybody knows the legacy and stuff, but it's like, if you want to watch something to, like, to fully understand just what Ric Flair was to wrestling, like, just go watch like watch that Rumble, man. He was, I mean, of course my dad, he grew up watching them, and like we've watched a bunch of old Ric Flair stuff, and of course I watched them like growing up, watched them in Evolution, with Triple H and Batista and Orton and all that stuff. And like obviously he was still great back then, which, you know, a little off track, like off topic, just Ric Flair. Like I just remember a match on Monday Night Raw back then, like he was 04. It was like yeah, for like early 04, maybe late 03, but it was like when I think it was early because like it was the whole like Triple H and and Chris Benoit feud was going on, and like dude, Ric Flair and Chris Benoit had a match. Holy shit, dude! That's like I still go back and watch it. Like and those dudes, like anytime Flair and Benoit were working together, shit, that's money, brother. Like
Oh
those
yeah.
two dudes, those two guys were just locked in with each other. Like I mean, they like out of everything I've ever watched from them, like they never put on a bad match together. Like if it was tag team, singles, whatever, like. But and like, anyways, that's just like me growing up and watching Flair and stuff. Just like talking, speaking of how great he is. But like back then, of course, this was like 10, 12 years prior, you know, and he was, dude. My God, what a wrestler, man! Like that. I'm telling you, just like if you really, like I said, if you really want to understand what Ric Flair was, just watch that match.
Absolutely.
And then you can go back and watch some old stuff like go watch. Like some good stuff. My dad showed me is like he used to watch WCCW. The Von Erichs.
Well, yeah, world class championship
Yeah,
wrestling down there in Texas, I believe.
yeah. And it was like the Von Erichs, like dude, Ric Flair and him and Kerry or him and Kevin, they put on some bangers, brother. And
Oh yeah.
Kerry too, like Kerry put on some great, like him and Flair put. Man, I'm telling you, like brother, they were they were rolling. Like those are some great stuff to watch of Ric Flair. But I mean, really, truth, like, dude, you just go like Ric Flair is just he really was that dude. Like you could, and I guess my point of talking about all this, just this long fucking spiel I'm going on, is like the point is like Ric Flair might get overshadowed by his legacy, just like how. Like just how he was as a part, like how he carried himself, like the styling, profiling, the all that shit. But this dude in the ring, like he was leagues ahead of everybody. Like this dude, like there was a reason he was like the greatest wrestler in the world forever. Like this son of a bitch was just electric to watch in a match.
I
Like
mean, name somebody that could have done like name somebody that could have kept that same amount of like tenacity, technicality, and even like emotion for an hour fucking straight
yeah,
at that point in '92. Nobody. I'm
nobody.
sorry. I mean, look, there's a reason Hulk Hogan came out like fucking damn near an hour into the match.
Yeah, what did he kept
And
26?
yeah, he came out 26th. He came out like directly in between Rick Martel, who did have the record of being in the match for the longest and still didn't win it, and Skinner, who was in the match for a whopping 2 minutes and 13 seconds. And believe it or not, he wasn't even like the fifth shortest amount of time in there. He was like, it just is what it is. But that being said, another person in this match I feel like kind of goes without being talked about that much is IRS. Arwen R. Shyster was in this match for damn near a half hour and looked great the entire time. And
Yeah,
of
that's
course,
them rotunda. That's them
yep,
rotunda jeans.
yeah, that's pretty much it. And if y'all aren't familiar, IRS is the father of Bray Wyatt and Bo Dallas, also known as Uncle Howdy. And yeah, I mean, definitely that fucking them wrestling genes running the family. There ain't no doubt about that.
Yep. And
Um,
well, I'm a hell the Undertaker. Like he was young. This was
oh yeah, dude.
a year into. Well, not probably not even a year because he started in '89. I can't remember exactly what month. I mean, he like I don't even think he'd hit his year mark probably.
Oh, as far as WWE, he joined in 1990
Oh, he
in
joined it.
WWE. Yeah, he
Oh,
started
my
wrestling
bad. I'm sorry.
WCCW in '87. He was
Yeah,
in
I'm sorry.
WCW for like half an hour in '89, and then he joined WWF in 1990.
Yeah, '92. I don't know what the hell I was. I was thinking like '90. I was thinking like '90. I don't know what the fuck. Yeah, we're doing 1992. That's been a long
Yeah,
fucking day. Um,
saga. But
but
no, I mean,
anyway,
even as young as he was at this point, if I'm not mistaken, this is after he had turned face for the first time too. Which, of course, like Undertaker when he debuted originally, he was a heel, like an indestructible heel at that. Is like you can't kill what's already dead kind of vibe to it. And I believe he turned face because Jake the Snake Roberts was waiting behind the curtain at an event, waiting for Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth to come through the curtain. And Elizabeth was actually coming in first, and it looked like Jake was about to fucking peg Elizabeth with the chair, and then all of a sudden you see this big purple glove reach over and grab that chair from Jake. And yeah, that's when he turned face. And you see a lot of that interaction with each other in the match. It's like, Jake is one of the most evil heels of all time, and Randy Savage, who did eliminate himself technically, but he wound up putting himself back into the ring to get eliminated later on.
That was that was the other highlight I wanted to talk about was Randy Savage. Like I wonder if he was coked up. Oh,
Oh,
that
is the
dude,
sky blue?
my dude, Macho Man was like,
Like,
dude, like, and dude, Macho Man, he's like Ric Flair, like his person, like bigger than life personalities, like overshadows how fucking good that dude was in the ring. Like, holy
athletic
shit,
as
like,
hell.
dude, like, yeah, dude, Macho Man, like, he was a real fucking deal. Like,
Hmm.
and like that whole, but like him coming over the damn, like jumping over the top fucking rope. It's like, and then like, and then I'm like, I guess he eliminated himself. And then like a minute later, he slides back in, and I'm like, what the
He's just beating the hell out of Jake. He's like, okay, time to get back in, and just like
fuck?
stays in there for about a half hour. No, that for me. That was the funniest part of the match because,
Oh
like, if I'm
yeah.
not mistaken, there was an absolute accident. Like, he wasn't even. It's like, oh shit, I eliminated myself. The refs are like, don't worry, nobody noticed.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we're still noticed 32 years later. But that's all good. Speaking of 92 for Macho Man, that was a really big year for him.
Oh yeah.
Huge, huge year for him. Even though, like, Wrestling Observer newsletter, we don't really give a fuck about that. Saying he's the most unimproved of 92, even though he had, you know, that was a career year for him. Hell, he was only number two. He was the number two of the top 500 singles wrestlers in Pro Wrestling Illustrated, according to them. And we don't usually, we make our own opinions rather than, like, parroting off of what other people say. But all you got to do to know what Randy Savage was capable of in 1992, just watch that Royal Rumble, dude. That's all you got to do.
Oh yeah.
Other than that, I mean, we could keep on going. We could definitely keep on going about this match, but just to put it short, to me, this is the best Royal Rumble I've ever seen.
Oh yeah. It was, and it's really hard because, and like me and you felt the same way. It's like, and maybe it's because the dude's going over an hour and stuff like that. But like, you know, like the best Rumble, like before this that we watched, it's like, we've always said like 2004
Oh
when
yeah,
when Benoit won. Like that was, I like that. And like I understand like people, talk about, the whole like the Benoit stuff, and like we're not like over glorifying, like we're not like stepping on that stuff. It's like we're not like avoiding that, I guess. It's just, like it's for because like so like me and Trevor grew up watching the dude, and it was just like, up until we were 11 years old when that shit happened. Like me personally, that was like my favorite wrestler. And then, obviously that shit happens, and like you just, morally, you just can't go with that, but like just like his, like what he did, and like in the WWE and F&E and like WCW, like dude was just, he
fuck
was a
New
great guy.
Japan. Literally anywhere he went, like,
Yeah, pretty much. And like, but dude, that damn, like that 2004 Royal Rumble, like I still watch it just multiple times, like, cause honest, and it's really like, and like, as a wrestling fan, like most wrestling people, like even though, you know, being Benoit, it's like you can't, like that storyline leading in, like that storyline going from, you know, pretty much like January, like the beginning of the year, and then the Rumble up until like the whole road to WrestleMania, pretty much. And like it was Benoit's, like he's like finally getting his flowers, like wanting to do his thing, and like him coming out there, like going toe to toe with Triple H and Shawn Michaels. Like, dude, that's just like the whole thing was just one of, and that Rumble just encapsulated the start of it, and it was like it was just it's so fucking good, and I guess it's like with Ric Flair, like you see somebody in the fucking ring like for over an hour, and they're
Yeah.
just moving nonstop. Hell, you could like we could say the same that like when Rey Mysterio won in '06. He started at number two, which is just the same as number one. You got to have two people start the match. So, like to me, it's about the same as Benoit. Like dude, like and like Rey Mysterio went all went over and that hell he beat like Benoit beat Flair's record, and then Mysterio beat Benoit's record. Like it was crazy, dude. Like those like people starting out, in the top few and like just working. I mean, working the whole time nonstop over an hour. It's just like it just I don't know. It just brings you into it, and you're like that. I don't know. I guess it makes it more memorable and like just stands out. It was just yeah. I could just go on about it. It's just it is one of the best Rumble. Like if not tied for like '04, they're like right there neck and neck for me. Honestly, like '92 was just it was perfect. I mean, really,
Oh yeah.
you
No.
couldn't get much. I don't know, and like I don't know, yeah, like just
I would.
comparing to maybe like '04, like the only thing maybe was like when Big Show came in, and obviously he was just like what I don't know if he was fucking heel or face. He's probably heel. I don't know. Hell, he changed more than I changed underwear, so like you can't really tell. But like he like just coming in there and being like this, immovable object, like the eras. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like
Oh
just
yeah, no, I
a
get it.
fucking force and then like just wiping people out, and then like it's him and Benoit, and it's like the small dude against this big son of a like huge son of a bitch, and then he just ends up pushing like getting him out of the. I don't know. That's just it was great shit. But it's like hell on like Ric Flair, which he was good. Like obviously he was bigger than Benoit, but like him getting Hulk or no, who got Hulk? Sid Just, yeah, Sid.
Yeah, Sid Justice got him
Yeah,
at the end of the match.
Sid.
That was
Yeah,
really my only big hang up with that match in particular was the fact that it felt like even though Rick just had one of the best wrestling performances of all time, Royal Rumble or not,
Hulk Hogan's
Hulk
like that
Hogan
won't work
still
for me,
had to
brother.
find a way to make it about himself.
Yep,
Because
yep,
of fucking course he did.
yeah. That's the only. Which goes back to what you were saying, like him just pulling his dick out, like being on a power trip about everything. So,
Like, let me tell you something, brother. I was only in the match for 11 and a half minutes, and I had to be the star of it.
oh shit.
Motherfucker, Motherfucker, the Barbarian was in the match longer than you were. I don't want to hear it. I will say this, all jokes aside, Hulk Hogan did have a good showing in the match. Of course, he did his Hulk Hogan thing. And he did get eliminated by Sid Justice, and Sid Justice in his own right. He was only in the match for 5 minutes and 55 seconds. He eliminated six people. If my math's correct, that's more than a person a minute. And even with that short amount of time he was in the match and all the people he was, booked to eliminate, he looked great.
Oh yeah.
He really did. And I'm not just saying that because the dude just passed away. Rest in peace to Sid Udy. But he really did look fantastic in that match.
Yeah,
He
like
really
50.
did.
He was a different he was a different breed back then, man.
Mm-hmm. Still makes me wince every time I think about that time he came off the top rope and tried giving dude a big boot. Oh
Oh.
God, that's one of the worst injuries I've ever seen.
You know what's
Um,
crazy is like I was listening to Busted Open podcast
mm-hmm.
and like on Sirius XM, I was listening to that and like the dude was a PCO and he was like him and Sid were like close friends for a long time and like he was talking about that. He's like, yeah, he's like Sid didn't even want to do the spot. He didn't want to. He's like, it's too like I don't feel comfortable. Like I don't know. He's like, I just don't think it's gonna do good, And they forced him. They were like, no, you gotta do it, blah blah blah. And then he did it, and what a horrific way to go out, because like that was pretty much it, brother. Like when he did that, like he was done. Because like
Yeah,
he was
he
already
was
on the
never the same after that. I mean,
now, like he was already like PCO said, like on there, he said like that Sid was already done with wrestling. Like he was on his way out, Like he was just wanting to tie it up and then leave on his own terms, and then that stuff happened. It just unfortunate, but
yeah,
rest in peace, Sid Justice, Sid Vicious, Psycho Sid, all of his names. Sid Duty is his real name,
that's right.
and I don't know if that was, I don't know if that was like Nick's purpose of shouting this out, or if he was just wanting to open our eyes to it. Like if it was just like a little bit of both, like wanting to show it, like Sid from back then, like since he just passed away, like either way,
Yeah.
like man, it was like
Thank you,
I'm glad
Nick.
he did. Like I'm
Thank you,
glad he
Mr. Opalewski. Again, if we're mispronouncing that, I'm sorry. Um, no, a phenomenal match. We want to thank you. If y'all enjoyed this, please feel free to go ahead and send us more classic pay-per-views to review, because we'll probably have our own personal pay-per-views that we're going to review as well. But if anybody wants to, feel free to go ahead and open our eyes to some pay-per-views that we may or may not have seen, please feel free to do so. Comment. Go ahead and follow us on the Facebook page. You can message us through there. We have a TikTok, we have a Twitter. We're going to have a LinkedIn and an OnlyFans, but only for the good boys. But with that being said, I, last thing I want to say on this, honestly, like if I had to rate this, if we're going to rate this outside of the Rumble itself, I would probably give those 4 matches a collective 8 out of 10. And the only reason it's not like higher than that is because of that Bushwhackers match. If it would have been literally anybody else, it would have been a 10 out of 10.
Oh yeah,
The Royal Rumble itself, it's kind of cheating here. 15 out of fucking 10. I don't care. That's one of the best matches I've ever
oh
seen in
yeah,
my life.
without a doubt.
MVP of the night, like I said, Roddy Piper. And honestly, secret MVP, Bobby Heenan, with some of the best commentary work of all time. Him and
Oh
Gorilla
yeah,
Monsoon are a legendary team in their own right. But this is probably Bobby Heenan's magnum opus as far as commentating goes.
yeah. It's some of the best. It's like the commentating just kept you in it, dude. Man,
Oh, yeah.
it was awesome. Like literally, like I mean, seriously, everything was wonderful. The whole
Mm-hmm.
like the pay per view, like you said, I'd give it, 8 of 8. I'd probably give it an 8.5. I swear to
Yeah.
God, I'd give it a fucking 12 out of 10 if they would have did something else besides the motherfucking bushwhackers. But
Dude, could
like,
have put in fucking well, Demolition didn't exist at this point. I mean, you had tag teams, dude. This would have been a really good time to bring in the Von Erichs,
yeah,
because the
I'm
Von
sorry.
Erichs and the Beverly Brothers would have been a banger.
Oh
But no,
yeah,
let's just put Luke and Butch and this dorky little fucking Jameson in there.
yeah.
Don't even have a Wikipedia article. But that being said, this was the review of the 1992 Royal Rumble. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment what you'd like to see next, and with that said, we love you. Go ahead and put your hamster in a blender.
Okay, we're going home for real.
Mm. Fuck the bushwhackers.
Do your best Meek Mill impression.